got an email. Hey, Kerin, can you explain what the 1% rule in investing means? I overheard someone talking about it. Yes, I will. And I'm actually going to talk about your primary residence being even way better than the 1% rule, which you can't really find anymore. Okay. What the 1% rule was, or is, but it's hard to find, is as an investor, you would look for a property that you could rent for 1% value, right? So if I was buying, let's say, $200,000, if I'm buying a property for $200,000, I should be able to rent it for 1%. If I could rent that property for 1%, it was a great deal. Now, that's just the front end. Like, obviously, we need to look at taxes and maintenance and carrying costs and all that other stuff, right? We have to look at if it's a townhouse, a condo development. We have to look at the financials and any special assessments. I'm just talking about the front end, right? If I was to find a deal that I could rent it out for 1% minimum, it's a great deal. Anything more would be phenomenal. But those days are kind of long and gone. It's so hard to do that, right? Because where can you find something that you can rent 1% when the real estate market skyrocketed? Yeah, the rental market went up too, but then it started coming back down. Some of my properties are not even getting close to what I was getting a couple years ago. But you know what is an amazing 1%? Your primary residence. So look into this. It's a townhouse development. And they're going for about, let's say, $225 right now. And the rental market is about $2,000. Not bad, not 1%, but not bad, right? But do you know how many people bought them for $125? So right now, you have this primary residence, maybe you're thinking about selling, and you say, well, if I keep this and I bought it for $125 and I can rent it for $2,000, that's an insane. That's way more than 1%. That's a great investment. Why would you sell it if you don't have to? When right there, you're not going to find that on today's market. And that's why I try to explain to people, like, look, everybody in real estate's trying to tell you everything's amazing and this and that. Even like these investors I see, how they're like, oh, real estate's the best. It's easy. There's pros and cons to everything. I'm going to be doing some videos on some cons to things, not to scare anyone, just to show you the real facts out there. But one thing people don't talk about is how important your primary residence is when keeping it as an investment. Because if you were to ever buy an investment property, your primary is probably better than any investment property you're going to buy, especially if you owned it years ago, because you have a phenomenal interest rate. You definitely are more than 1% on the rental market. Why would you want to get rid of that to buy something else if you're thinking about buying an investment property later on? If you have to sell, I understand, but what I'm trying to explain is there's so many ways to get more financial gain in your life by doing things differently and not just following this trend of I buy, I sell, I buy, I sell. So I do these videos, but that's the 1% rule. It's finding a property and being able to rent it for 1% of purchase value. So any questions, please let me know. I love doing these videos every day, all day, every day.